And again, the reason that as I alluded to before, that I think a lot of people maybe do not have the 6 months of emergency, 6 months of their expenditures set aside for emergency, is because of our good friend, Mr. Credit Card. And again, and a lot of times when I talk to people, they say, yeah, I mean, not only do I use my credit card for my emergency if I happen to have something that comes along those lines, but I also get all these gifts. I get miles, and I get points, and I get cash back, and I get all these free things from the credit card companies. They're so nice to me. These guys have got to be here for my well-being, and for they're here because they're my best friend. And I'll tell you, I've had literally conversations with people, and I can just in the tone of how they talk about their credit card or their credit cards, it really is as if they think about that as one of their very good and closest friends. And unfortunately, I'm here to bust a couple of myths today. And one of those myths is the fact is the credit card companies are in business to make a profit. And they're very, very good at making a profit. You talk about kind of the marketing and the psychology that comes with your credit card and the credit card industry as a whole. And they are, unfortunately, to many of our detriment, the credit card companies are very, very good at encouraging us to use their product. And their product is simply a piece of plastic where they're lending us money, and if you don't pay it back within the 30-day allotment that they give you, then you're going to pay interest on that. The reality is the average American, as of 2015, had $15,000 in credit card debt. And the average American was paying just under 15% in annual interest. So again, there's a lot of 15s in there. 2015, $15,000 and 15% in interest. And if you take those two numbers that I mentioned and you calculate those out in annual interest that the average American is paying, that equates to about $2,200 in interest. And now again, you would say, well, that's for the free stuff because I'm getting all this free stuff from them. But again, the average American is paying $2,200 a year to the credit card companies. So I think that's what you need to really balance in your mind is, if you're somebody who pays off your credit card balance every single month and you never carry anything over into the next month and you never pay any interest to the credit card companies, then I'd say more power to you. You are sticking it back to the credit card companies. They don't like you because of that, and I'm glad they don't like you, and I'm glad that they're upset, and I'm glad that you're doing what you're doing. However, the problem becomes if you don't have the emergency savings to sustain you, and you're also using that credit card as a backup plan and a rainy day fund, and all of a sudden a couple of rainy days happen in a row, and you've now got a couple $1,000s mounted onto your credit card and you can't pay that off, now we start in this slippery slope. And now we start going down a path where it becomes very difficult to dig back out of hundreds, if not thousands of dollars every year that we're having to pay the credit card company because we borrowed money from them in the first place. So again, I would just encourage you to make sure you've read the fine print on your credit card. Make sure you've got a reasonable interest rate if you happen to carry over any money. If you do have some credit card balances currently, we're going to talk in the back end of this presentation about how to pay off your debts in a more effective manner and the snowball concept. But I want you to make sure you're aware of the details, because the details can be detrimental to us. And if you look under the hood of any financial institution that has a credit card division or a credit card arm, I can tell you right now that division will be the most profitable division. So again, what the credit card companies are doing is remarkable in the sense that they're making a lot of money, but the reality is they're hurting us pretty dramatically. And we got to make sure we understand all the ins and outs that go with this. The other comment that I'll make that relates back to kind of the emergency savings amount, the 6 months of expenses that we need to have, and also the credit card debacle that we're seeing right now, is the banking industry just put out their results for 2015, and it showed that the average or the total number of overdrafts and the total dollar amount of overdrafts that Americans paid in 2015 was $34 billion, billion with a B, that we paid in overdraft charges to the banking industry. So again, maybe you've never done that, maybe you've never had that occur to you, you never overdrafted your account. But again, this to me is a symptom of a bigger problem, that we are all really having some difficulty in managing our finances, in putting in place the foundational components that we need, which is emergency savings, and to most responsibly utilize the credit cards if we have some. And for many of us, that might mean, as it is in my house, we don't use a credit card. We use a debit card because obviously that slide in the plastic has become so easy today that we almost have to use it. But I would encourage you to think about how and when and why you're using the credit cards and you're borrowing money from people for things that you want to buy.